I think the biggest thing going right now in Detroit sports, Isaiah Stewart, was ruled out yesterday, clearly looked affected in game one. There is nothing out there on it, just knee inflammation.
They're pretty quiet.
So what, Doc, in your experience, he played on it, so that tells you what?
Well, it tells you that it's not a complete tear, right? I mean, if he had a complete tear, the knee has so much anatomy to it and so important to, we're going to go over the anatomy here. There's a lot going on. I mean, you have the bony structure, which it's showing right now. We're going to add some of the ligaments here in a minute. But the patella, which is the kneecap, you have the femur coming into the tibia. You have that little groove there. Under there is where the meniscus is. It's like the cushions of the knee.
All those buzz terms you hear in knee injuries you're going over, yeah.
So you can see it in there, and then the anterior and posterior cruciate, there it's describing the medial and lateral, kind of inside, outside. But there's a lot of areas, what I'm trying to show is there's a lot of areas that can cause inflammation. There can be inflammation right under the kneecap that can be a problem. There's inflammation with the ligaments itself, the ACL and PCL, the anterior cruciates and the posterior cruciate ligaments can be inflamed and irritable. What the good news is we're not hearing there's a tear or he's out. So what he did is he tried to rest it the last 2 games in the season to be ready for this. He went, game one and then just re-irritated. You can see he was wearing a knee sleeve. He wasn't wearing any heavy brace. So those are all good indicators that it's not a major ACL, but he's creating so much force, especially covering Towns. He's got to be up. There's a lot of pressure at the knee itself. So the inflammation obviously acted up to the point that he felt he didn't have the power to go, because you can't be powerless, right? You got a knee, like anything that we do, if your knee's hurting you, you lose that power. It affects your back, it affects your hips, it affects everything, because that's what you lock and embrace and what you pivot on. So all those areas, when we say simple inflammation, usually sometimes the secret sauce is pretty good with those kind of things.
Yes, give the people what they want, Doc.
No, but honestly, I mean, a lot of times the secret sauce is key to that. So I don't know what's actually going on there, but, ice compression, a big team. So he's a big guy that, he's a utility guy that would play through a lot. So it's really got to be hindering him. We saw him limping come the third period of the first game also.
Hey, Doc, so the whole thing too is when we're doing this, and I know this from experience, right? It's about prevention to further more. So what are you looking at, or what are we looking at? Because obviously if he got in and he was out there and he's hobbling and stuff like that, that's one thing. He's playing hurt. He's not injured to the degree, right? You're looking at things to say, hey, is there something that it can do, bigger damage if he presses it? So this is something, when you get the secret sauce, when you get the preventative stuff like this, you think that over time he should be all right, and it's nothing that is super serious. Am I taking this correctly?
Yeah, I mean, when you say super serious, it's not career ending. Will he have a scope after the season? I mean, hockey players, back in the days, like I think you're referring to, if we give him a steroid injection, will it mask it and make it worse, like the old football days or the old hockey days? Yeah, there's some truth to that. I mean, there is, you're numb, you're working on an injured area, and you can make it worse. You absolutely can make it worse. Yeah, that's his weak link, is his knee right now. So they're being careful probably how they're prepping it so he doesn't lose that sensation, because a steroid will go in there. Back in the day, it was like, numb it up, steroid it up, get that inflammation down right away, and get him playing. That was the mentality, even in our hockey career.
Well, then it'd be like, okay, maybe you need a scope after the season, but now you need a repair of a tear because you've torn. But it's sort of, you're weighing the balance that, okay, right. So the fact is that I'm not going to get a complete tear. If I do something, like, it'll be something that you'll need during the season now. And I'm sure in basketball, like you can do an arthroscopic surgery if you have few days off or a week off. Guys go through that now, right?
Ragnow did it last year, right?
Who's that?
Yeah. Ragnow did it last year.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's things to be done, and I think it's more or less, right, you're taking into how much can he further hurt himself, or does he take himself into that career? Because he wouldn't be. So my point is, like, it can't be as serious to a career-ending injury or something that's next to being torn because he wouldn't be out there. Fact is, he's just got to. You got to see a guy. This is playing hurt, right? And that's what playoffs is all about.
He's playing hurt. Who know what? He got something before the game, felt good enough, wore off. He didn't want to do it
Toradol,
again.
baby, give him some Toradol. Shoot him up with that Toradol. That's a good one, Neil.
You could, but these guys, they're basketball. They're not hockey or football. So
and that's Doc. That's what I wanted to get to because for Isaiah Stewart playing in the NBA, that's a whole different beast, right? The physical motion that they go through. I mean, to run, plant, jump, and have to out-jump Karl Anthony Towns, who's probably a bad example because you can just kind of muscle him out of the way and he'll take it. But you get where I'm going at
Soft.
here. You have to. There is so much force that goes down through the leg.
Hardwood is unforgiving.
Yes.
Well, the hardwood has actually improved a lot, so I'll push back on that.
Yeah.
But the game itself, from a physical standpoint, again, compared to the old days, it's not as physical, but it's still physical. I mean, Towns is down there pounding, and he's got to brace himself and get that leverage on him. So when you start talking about a knee injury that's ready to give out, I don't question his integrity. I don't question the strength of him. I think he wants to play, so I'm assuming I wouldn't be surprised to see him get scoped off season.
Talk with Dr. Pierce as we do every Tuesday here on Big D Energy. Again, I always put you in these unfair spots because you're not the doctor. Yes, I know. You're not the doctor.
We used to be.
You're not the team doctor. In your gut, you think he plays Thursday?
I think he's a 50-50. I think it's a game-time decision.
Like for real, yeah.
Yeah, like real game time. I mean, he is a force. The good news is if you watched the game last night, they did well. I mean, you had the same game plan. They said, when he went out in game one, it just kind of popped everybody's balloon there. They just kind of faded and gave up because he's such a defensive force. And they're going to learn to play without him. So we won that game 2 without him. I think game 3 is going to be, we stick to the same game plan as game 2. Don't plan on him being here. If he's here, that's a cherry on top. But we have to have a game plan without him is what, from a coaching medical standpoint, I'm giving.
Another unfair question to you. Because, again, you are not the doctor for the team. You're just a guy kind of like us, just kind of sitting around chopping up based on your experience.
Don't put me down to that level.
Yeah, no, you're giving us opinions based on experience, which I do enjoy. Does it matter in that, so Thursday, Sunday, would – theoretically, if he didn't play Thursday, would buying these 4 or 5 days
absolutely
that does make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, if he's not like 85, like we usually say, 0 pain, 90% better, and you play. Playoffs, it's 1 to 2 pain and 75 to 80% better, and you play. So it's like the scale, like what Mac was talking about. Where we are in the season, what are we doing? What are we prepping to play that, because there isn't a tomorrow. I mean, there's a game 6, 7, but for the most part, it's Pistons history right now.
No, that is true. Let's change it up, Doc. Let's go to the diamond.
Okay.
Parker Meadows. When last we left our adventure with Parker Meadows, we were waiting for a nerve to, quote, wake up.
It's getting
Has it awakened?
Awakened fully? No. I think it's starting to come. I heard he's starting to throw. I think he's been batting. He's been working on some of his cross training for it, is what I've heard. But as far as throwing, those are all good indicators. I can't remember. What was the actual date? What are we in, 4 weeks right now?
He's about a month ago, yep.
Yeah, because he's out till the middle of May or end of May.
That was the original.
He was out at the start of the season, so
yeah.
So we're about in the middle. So that's probably what he's probably on track or a little bit ahead. So we'll see how he does with the throwing. It's more of that gripping. It's more of that nerve coming back. So the waking up of the nerve, I don't know if you want to go back through all that anatomy, but it's part of the brachial plexus. It's like a neuropraxia, which means like that nerve was stung and shut off and never came back on. Like as opposed to a stinger where you have that injury, you have that nervous shock, your arm kind of goes dead and slowly comes back. So the stinger is a little bit better. He actually had a stinger that stayed. So we call that neuropraxia, where the nerve is.
No one explained it to me like that. That makes sense now. For real, Doc. Like, no one explained it to me that way
All right,
before.
so I'm here to help.
You absolutely are. What about like ramp up time for Meadows? And like, look, his value to this team, I think, is certainly center field. He's a plus defender, like elite defender, not like a Javi elite defender, like a real elite defender.
Javi looked good in center.
He did.
Anyway,
He did.
The haters are coming up.
No, that's fine. But anyway, though, Doc, I mean, what would be how worried, I guess, going forward would you be when he does get back, when the nerve like quote wakes up? Is this something that could come back? I mean, in your opinion,
that nerve is important for your arm. It innervates, it stimulates, whatever word we want to use, major muscles in the arm. And he's going to let us know when he's ready. And it's a timing, it's a feel again, because it's not just the nerve waking up, it's that reception, it's the proprioception, which is like sensation where your arm is in space. So that plays a role too. So it's not just gripping the ball and I can hold the ball now. It's functional. It's creating a functional movement. So all those, like the body's, it's the most fascinating machine in the world. Everything has to be triggered in certain order, a certain order of recovery. Like just for you to walk, to hold yourself in the position you're holding yourself. You can't believe how much networking is going on to have you play with your feet or dabble your feet. I mean, it's the same thing with the arm. All that has to be reset, and it'll be reset. Like Hutchinson's a great example of that. He had a lot of atrophy, and they're doing it in a stepwise fashion to get that going. So that's what Meadows is starting to do. You're seeing a stepwise fashion, which is great for these high-end athletes. For our everyday people, you sever a nerve, you get out of a cast, you got to go. And a lot of times what happens is you get a muscle imbalance, or the muscle the triggering, the firing patterns are off, which leads to further injuries. So I know we talked about who's the guy that just went out with Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Carpenter just went out with a hamstring. Well, he had a back injury, and you asked me earlier in the season, or someone asked me, because of that back injury, are we going to see other types of injuries? So that's a good question. Did he get his hamstring to come back? When you're in a back injury, you can get mild atrophy of your back and your hamstrings and your glutes. Like I had a terrible, like me personally, I had a terrible back injury. It took out my whole lower segment, which my glute muscles, my butt muscles, have, not to talk about my butt, but I
wonder what the chat's going to do with that. Go ahead.
But my it never came back, and my kids make fun of me. I got a one side, but it's the atrophy, it's the muscle, and I have a great team to help me. So to bring it back to be real to the people, when you have a type of injury, there's a certain pattern of recovery that can't be disrespected. That you may get through that 6 months, a year, but something's going to show up a year or two later if you don't do it right.
Doc, the chat wants to know. We'll wrap it up with this. Of all the countries, all the exotic islands, all the countries you go to that you've been on the show from, what country has the best secret sauce?
Oh shit.
My guess would be Mexico, but I don't know.
So Mexico, yeah, the Costa Ricas, the Central. You're talking about that. Brazil's ridiculous. Colombia is surprisingly.
No, I said secret sauce, Doc. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
They add the secret sauce. Yeah. That's the cherry on there. But no, I mean a lot of those countries, like Mexico, yeah, because it's the closest. Are they the best? No. Some of the other countries have cleaner environments. Like they're really creating now they're talking about overseas. Dubai's trying to catch up and be a leader. So the FDA here is a double-edged sword for us, right? We want to be cutting edge, and a handful of us are cutting edge. Like we're docs that are thinking outside the box. Like even with the Red Wings, I mean, a lot of the Red Wings had to go overseas to get the proper treatment to recover. Yeah. Sweden's a big thing. When we had all the Swedes were going there for certain types of treatments that they couldn't receive here. So the FDA is here to create a protection to the masses, but it also hinders us at the highest level. A lot of these high-end athletes are not seeking out traditional medicine at this point. So
interesting.
Does that kind of answer?
No, it 100% does. It
so
100%
is there
does.
a country? I think right now that Costa Rica, like Mexico, because it's the closest, but Mexico, there's better places than Mexico.
All right, there it is. Well, Doc, as always, man, we appreciate you.
We got to get golfing soon.
We do, 100%. I know D-Max can. I know that. We'll figure it out.
I haven't even swung a club yet.
Me either.
Yeah, Spenny hasn't either. Yeah,
I got to hit the range this weekend.
Mac done golfed like 5 times already.
Yeah, Max
right.
got 12 rounds in already, right? How many rounds you play?
I got a 3:20 tee time for the golf league.
Yep.
Today. It's Tuesday golf league. Let's go.
Of course.
Windy as hell yesterday, Doc. Up to 40 gusts.